Hey heroes, this is Angela, your certified brass player.
And this is Darrian, your resident string player. And today we have with us guest co-host
Bella. I am a creative professional and a cellist.
And this is Hero Talk, where we talk about real life
and real women in music.
Okay, let's get started.
Hey Bella, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey Bella.
We're excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Hey.
I can tell you're a little like, oh gosh, what am I doing?
Just a little.
Well, welcome to Hero Talk. And for anyone who doesn't know, this is our first time having another hero director on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Bella is our artistic director.
I am, and I do a lot of the immersive design that you've seen in our recital and stuff.
Yeah, if you watched our live stream, we played some pieces by female composers for our quartet arrangements, and Bella did immersive design and interactive light displays and everything. It was really cool.
Yeah,
she also designed our t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out about our merch if anyone wants to check out those t-shirts on our website.
Yeah.
They're pretty great, and I'm unbiased, obviously.
Yeah, and she also has done a lot of our like artwork on our Instagram
medias,
and our social media.
Mm-hmm.
And our website.
I know.
Let's go,
And
Bella.
besides being a badass cellist, she's like super artistic, and we're really glad that you're on our team.
Aw, say more.
So tell us first off just like a little bit about yourself so people understand like why you joined Hero, what got you interested in joining the cause, and just a little bit so people get to know you since they know me and Angela so well already.
Yeah, so I'm at FSU in my master's, obviously. That's why I'm here right now. And then also I would classify myself as a new music cellist, new music musician, also creative professional. I do a lot of artistic work, and my goal is really to like make music more accessible to more people, get more people interested in it. And I think that one of the best ways to do that is through multimedia sensory things so that everyone can have more to experience than just auditory, because not everybody can hear. So
That's true.
there's lots of different people in the world, and I want to try and like get everybody involved if possible. So I want to combine stuff, and that's kind of how I've found a lot of the new music that I listen to and play and that I am advocating. And one of the holes in new music, in all music, is women. A lot of more diverse composers, and that includes women, do not get performed a whole lot or studied as much, and I wanted to try and break that mold, and I've made it kind of a mission of mine to try and play as much of the female composer music as possible, as well as just not playing music from the canon.
That is true.
Wow.
Fun fact, Bella was the first person I asked to help out with Hero. I don't think many people know that, but I was like really nervous to ask you because I didn't know you that well, but I was talking to people like, oh yeah, she's like helped put a conference together, she's really cool, awesome cellist. I just remember I walked up to you after like orchestra rehearsal. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I was like, hi, I have this idea.
I believe you said, hi, I'm Darrian. I don't know if you know me. And then I was
Oh,
like,
well.
I mean, I saw you across the orchestra. Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, and I was like, would you be interested in helping out with this idea? And I was so happy you joined on board, and then it just like spiraled and we got
Kept
more
rolling.
people, and
Yeah.
now look where we're at.
I
hope
know.
you
I
don't
had
regret
no
your choice.
idea this is what we were going to be doing. When you said you wanted to do like a little thing, I was like, oh, so we'll just do some stuff together. Like maybe have some concerts that are special.
Duos.
Yeah, and you knew about my immersive design, and you were like, oh, we could do some stuff with that. It'd be so cool. And now we're like,
Yeah, as soon as you
It
told
is
me about
like a
that, as soon as you told me that, I was like, I'm so game.
yep.
It really did just spiral into a bigger thing. Hopefully you don't regret your choice, because I'm so glad you're here, and I think we're doing awesome stuff together. And I'm glad everyone on Hero Talk gets to meet you now too.
Oh yeah.
And if you want to learn more, you can always visit her bio and all of the directors' bios on our website at www.her-omusic.com. But now, the main reason, besides how much we love you, Bella, the reason she's here.
Talking about Bella.
Yeah.
How great she is.
Honestly, though.
This can't be the Bella episode. I know we want that, but we have to. This is also a grade for me.
No, I know.
True.
Yeah, that's what we're getting to. So this is a part of our Learning About New Composers mini-series that we're doing for Dr. Rachel Lumsden's class. We heard Darcy write last week, and Bella also happens to be in this class, Analysis of Masterworks by Female Composers. Mm-hmm. She's another one of the people who signed up to talk on the podcast about a female composer and analysis of a piece for her final grade, and she just also happens to be a part of the Hero team. So
true.
Tell us about the composer you're going to be educating all of us about today.
All right, so the composer who composed this piece that I will be introducing to you guys, called Suite for Cello, which is a very original name, as we all know. Her name is Juri Seo. It's spelled Juri and then Seo. And in her bio on her website and everything, she does have at the bottom the North American pronunciation help, which says awesome. Jewrisuh. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I was very happy to find that because I was so worried I would pronounce it wrong. And I kind of was, and now I can pronounce it right all the time. Juri Seo. And this piece that I've been actually playing, it's programmed for my recital that I'm doing next semester, and I absolutely have fallen in love with this piece. But I went to the Cortona New Music Sessions this last summer. It's typically held in Cortona, Italy, but because of COVID and all the other fun stuff in the world, they decided not to do it there, understandably. So instead, they hosted it here at FSU, and luckily, because they did that, I was able to attend because it's kind of hard to get all the way out to Italy.
And expensive.
And expensive. And I was able to get a bigger discount because I live in Tallahassee. Yeah. So it was a really great experience for me, definitely like once in a lifetime, most likely. And I was so inspired by all the people there. Everybody was playing such amazing and interesting new music by different composers that I had never heard of, all these new people. And I was like, before this, I kind of, prided myself on knowing a lot of different composers and being able to be like, oh, yes, I know that composer for everything. And here my eyes were opened to so many people I had never heard of, and it was amazing. And it was just really cool when we did this competition. I brought a couple pieces in by composers that female composers as well, and another cellist beat me with this piece, and I was like, oh, I'm so mad that I lost, and then I heard him playing it, and I was like, whoa.
So it was like a concerto competition sort of thing?
It was a new music competition,
nice.
Unaccompanied. That's how they usually go, but he played this piece, and it was just the first and the fifth movement, and it was absolutely amazing. And I sat there, and I was like, "Yep, I lost." I mean, just like, and it wasn't that my piece that I played wasn't good, and it wasn't that I performed badly. I did a great performance. His performance was good too, but the piece was just stellar. I don't know how else to explain it. I was in love with it, infatuated. All these really cool techniques, extended techniques that were employed, and just making the cello ring and have this beautiful resonancy and tone that Bach also utilized. But I think that he didn't know what he could have done, and this Bach? This was everything else that the cello can be and more. So it was just amazing. There's a lot of sounds and colors, and it was the piece was, after hearing it, I was like, this is right up my alley. I want to learn this. There's so many new techniques. I have to. And I love scordatura, tuning one of the strings differently, for those who might not know. And so
the trumpet player.
Yeah, in case you didn't know. For this piece, you tune the C to a B, so it goes lower, and that creates more resonance. The cello actually loves that tuning. Everything will ring more. So I loved that. I wanted to do that, and I just decided I had to play this piece. So I brought it to my lessons, and I was like, "Hey, Professor Sauer, I'm gonna play this." And he looked at it and he goes, "Really?" Because it's not an easy piece by any means. It's definitely doable and attainable, but it looks kind of scary because of the way that it sits on the page. Because of the scordatura and everything, she has the bottom line. So it's got piano staff. The top line is the sounding pitch, and then the bottom line is the pitch you're playing and how it feels. Yeah. So I wanted to play the piece, and I already had it on the docket. It was going to happen. I was learning it over the summer a little bit, and then once I got into the class for the Masterworks composers, female composers, she said that we were going to have to do an analysis at the end of the year. And I was like, yep, this is it. I've decided I'm doing that. I'm already doing this piece. I'm going to do something crazy with it. So then that was kind of where I found the piece and decided to bring it to the class.
Did you ask that other cellist how he discovered this piece by Juri Seo?
He knew people who knew her. So it was kind of one of those, like, people knew her, so people kind of found it that way. That's how a lot of new music tends to circulate. You know somebody who knows somebody, and they have this piece that's really cool, and then someone asks you to do it, or you're like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about Juri Seo.
Juri Seo. So she was born in 1918, so she's, on the younger end of composers of today's world. She's born in South Korea, and now she's living in America, so she's a Korean-American composer, and she's also a pianist. She's based in Princeton, New Jersey. She's actually, the associate professor of music at Princeton University.
Wow.
Pretty cool, yeah. She got her Bachelor of Music at Yonsei University in Seoul. She also attended the Accademia Nazionale di Santa Cecilia in Rome, and she holds a DMA from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. So quite the pedigree.
Yeah.
Yes. Right now she's living in Lawrenceville, which is just outside of Princeton, and she's with her husband, Mark Eckenberger, who is a percussionist.
Oh.
Cool.
How would you describe some of her works and her genre?
So her genre is, I would say what she's doing is she's merging a lot of aspects of like the past centuries music, where there's the expanded timbral palette, unorthodox approach to structure, and then she's merging that with her deep love of functional tonality and counterpoint and classical form. She kind of says that on her website, and you can just really feel it in the cello suite that she wrote, a lot of her other music too. She likes to explore the fast dynamics and tempo changing, where everything's just kind of moving really fluidly and doesn't have like a whole lot of time to sit in one spot. And she likes to explore opposites too, like serious and humorous, lyrical, violent, and then tranquil and obsessive.
So very emotional.
Very emotional, yeah. It's easy to get really invested in her pieces as a listener and as a performer. She's got like 25 compositions that I found listed on her website, so I'm sure there's more, but those range from like solos to chamber works. There's electronics, various instrumentations. One that I saw that was really cute was called Penori, and it's for children's piano for 4 hands. And it's like, it's a lessons type of thing. She has a lot of like etudes for kids, it looks like, or for students, and which makes sense as she's, professor at a college. True, and then she has quite a few string pieces or chamber groups with like winds as well. And then of course she's got quite a bit of piano and percussion.
Any violin stuff?
Yes, lots of violin stuff.
Brass.
Actually, she's got a violin. I think it's a solo, but it might have like other stuff with it. But it's called like Toy Box, and it's premiering in a couple weeks. Oh. It's pretty cool. If you look at her website, you'll find all of her events and everything, and you can go and search for that.
We'll have to put that in our podcast notes for anyone who's looking for some new music to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Have she won any like notable awards that anyone might know about?
She has. So, I mean, just to name a couple of those little awards, Guggenheim Fellowship.
Big one.
Yep. She also got the Kozuveski Commission from the Library of Congress, which is a big deal, as well as the Goddard Lieberton Fellowship. That's like $15,000. It was endowed in 1978 by CBS Foundation for a mid-career composer of exceptional gifts, which I believe she fits that as very well. And then the Andrew Embry Award, which was $10,000 for a composer of demonstrated artistic merit in mid-career, which I also think she has demonstrated artistic merit in her mid-career.
You're not biased at all.
Not biased at all. Those are from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. And then there's a few other awards she's won from like Urbana-Champaign and Copeland House Residency. That's pretty cool, as well as a fellowship from Tanglewood. She's also been commissioned to compose for Tanglewood and then for the Goethe Institute, Barlow Endowment, Film Foundation. She's got 2 albums, I believe, that are her, albums. On her website, those are the only 2 that she has listed, so if there's others, I don't know. But that's Respiri, which is where the suite comes from, and then also mostly piano. And those were released by Anova Recordings.
And the album is called Mostly Piano?
Mostly piano. She is a pianist, and she does have quite a few piano pieces that she's
Makes
written.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I'll
when
have to
she,
check out
for her
violin
piano stuff, she does talk a lot about how she tries to reinvent the piano and create limitless potential, even though the instrument has so many limitations to the physical design. Yeah, a lot of her ideas about creating a hybrid space for music that is no longer horizontal is with like Mozart and Beethoven. It's really interesting. You can really see the approach in all of her compositions too. She states in her biography that her goal is to create music that loves, that makes a positive change in the world, however small, through the people who are willing to listen.
Wow.
I like
She's
that.
kind of cool.
I really like that. And didn't you say that there's not much known about her, though, earlier before we recorded?
Yeah, the information is pretty much all that I have, everything I just told you, because her website has that biography, and that's in the About section. Mm-hmm. There's that biography that's long, and then there's a shortened version, and then there's the biography in Korean. And that's about it, and that biography is all that's used on all of the websites for every place that has a biography of her. Okay. There's no different one, yeah.
Does she ever get interviewed or anything like that you know of?
I mean, yes, she works at Princeton.
True.
So that is true. So I'm assuming that she's not like on socials or anything like that heavily.
She has an Instagram.
She has an Instagram, yeah. Okay. It's just her biography is that biography is the biography.
Gotcha.
It is unchanged.
Yeah.
So tell us, what's the name of the piece that you're going to be telling us about today? And
Suite for Cello. So it was premiered June 30th, 2018 in Taipei Cultural Center of New York, and that was performed by cellist Chris Irvine. The suite is dedicated to cellist Joanne Wong, and then she actually did the professional recording of the piece, which took place September 6, 2018, and that was at Princeton.
Very nice.
Yes. I couldn't find a whole lot of information about the composition of the piece. I searched very long and hard. She has like a little blurb, like where you buy the piece, which is where I went to purchase the piece. Mm-hmm. And when you find it there, it says stuff like, it's just the program notes. It doesn't say, I wrote this piece in this time of my life. It took me 2 years. So none of that is really, I haven't found any of that.
No, did you find the recordings from the cellist?
Joanne Wong?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I actually played with her one time.
Oh.
I know. It's cool.
So I'm assuming you know these famous cellists quite well as a cellist yourself.
Obviously.
So tell us about like the program notes, since you said she actually wrote program notes in the score.
So the program notes is some of the evidence that I used for my thesis, and I'll just real quick read you my thesis so that you know what we're dealing with here.
All right.
The professional stuff. While the most famous cello suite composed by J.S. Bach is echoed in a contemporary interpretation, it is simultaneously abandoned in the name of advancement in Juri Seo's Suite for Cello. Seo uses extended technique embedded in counterpoint moments of tonality that evolve into atonality along with intertextuality through embodiment, specifically relating to the fourth Bach suite to show the evolution of Bach's simple Baroque compositions morphing into something exciting and fresh. And the program note, which is, first piece of evidence. Yeah. I don't know if this is cheating or not, but, she says that this is what her idea was. I just wanted to have a real thing about it, though. Yeah. Suite for Cello is a 5-movement work that explores the rich sound palette of the modern cello within the framework of an antiquated formal language. The allusions to and illusions of J.S. Bach's 6 cello suites serve not only as an acknowledgement of influence, but also as an expression of historical and psychological distance. I wanted to capture the warmth and intimacy that made me fall in love with Bach suites, while at the same time exploring effective extremes, the fragile, the violent, the obsessive, that were perhaps unavailable to him, writing as he did within the pristine conventions of the 18th century instrumental dance music. In my suite, the lowest string of the cello is tuned down by a semitone, plus 8 cents to be precise. The scordatura tuning provides a rich array of harmonics that, when juxtaposed with the other correctly tuned strings, produce subtle clashes. The bottom 2 strings define 2 tonal centers, which are often used simultaneously, B and G. The clashing of both tones in the tonal centers creates the feeling of being pulled in different directions. And when the 2 keys return from their harmonic digressions, we face the distinctly modern problem of returning to 2 different places at once.
Yeah, how would you differentiate Bach and her writing styles in this piece?
So There's quite a bit of like difference. Obviously, we've got the fact that her music is quite a bit contemporary sounding. It's new music. It's beautiful. I love new music. Something that she employs a lot is the beauty of extended techniques, which is one of the things I love the most about the piece. So I think all of the movements utilize harmonics. And harmonics are when you're not pressing down on the string to get a natural note where you have that like solid pitch. What you're getting is more of an airy effect, and it's halving the string or quartering, like it's dividing the string into its most resonant and pure like form of sound. So it's got a different quality of sound, and it's absolutely beautiful, and the way she uses it is really cool.
And now for like a future trivia, I can ask you what a harmonic is now, Angela.
Oh, I know what that is.
She'll remember,
we have
she'll remember.
harmonics. I've played guitar.
Yeah. But I actually have my cello here, and I would love to demonstrate the difference between the harmonic and the natural sound.
Yeah. All right. So you're going to show our listeners what the harmonics sound like then?
Yes. So this is a natural pitch. This is what the sound is going to be like.
All right.
It's very clear, and then the harmonic is much more airy.
Very familiar with that sound. Don't cellists tune with harmonics sometimes?
It helps us to know how the tuning is. They will really wobble a lot more when they're out of tune, more than normal notes will, the natural notes. So she uses a lot of those harmonics, especially in that first movement and the second movement, which is where I draw a lot of the comparisons from Bach in my thesis.
Nice.
So how did you analyze this piece?
So I chose a very different form of analysis than normal. I did not use like Schenkerian formal analysis, which was what we really worked on in our class. The female masterworks composition analysis class, what we did was we learned different ways to do analysis besides that normal Schenkerian analysis, formal analysis. So I really wanted to challenge myself and find a very different way to analyze this piece that would be more accessible to cellists, and in a way kind of more just idiomatic for the cellist, for a modern cellist today, a female cellist.
Like if someone was going to play the piece or something.
Yeah, if someone's going to play the piece, I feel like this would be more useful than looking at 5-1, 5-1, 2.
True.
Yeah. So that was my goal, was to find a new way. And I think I did. I did a lot with intertextuality between the two texts. So like comparing both of them, comparing the Sa to Bach. And I chose the fourth suite because I felt like it was the most similar to the first movement, and the saraband of that suite was really similar to the second movement and the bowing and everything. So with that, for the intertextuality, there's a lot of really obvious similarities, like there's a lot of, Baroque style counterpoint that's happening, obviously. So it does break a lot of the rules with some dissonant tonality, that G and B. She's always tonicizing both of those notes, whereas Bach is really just kind of like tonicizing E flat at the beginning, and he's like beating that note to death, which there's a reason. E flat's a notoriously dead note on the cello. It does not ring. I don't know why Bach was like, this is the note, because it's like,
funny. Well,
yeah, to make that note really.
well, a lot of pieces were written in E flat,
This is true. However, I wish that he was like, this is a cello and it's not going to sound
That's fair.
super great. Let's not do that. But he did it anyway, and we can't go back.
That's true.
So he picked E flat, and you have to strike that quite a few times in order to get that, to have it continuously playing throughout for the drone effect that he was trying to get. And Sud was like, you know what, I'm going to really have there be like resonance drones. So G and B are going to really ring, especially because of the tuning. When you have those open strings, they're vibrating everything. So that is going to just like be there. You don't have to keep striking it consistently, which is really cool. And she wrote, she obviously talked to cellists and knew what was going on to write this piece. It's so idiomatic. So she does break some of those rules and strays from the typical counterpoint. It's not as straightforward as Bach, but you can see the comparison. And I will I'm going to play the two of those so that you can hear them.
Yeah.
So this is the prelude to the Suite 4 from Bach. It's just like a couple of little measures. Just to compare.
can hear what you mean though, but listening to the Bach and now listening to that, it has very like similar like bowings
Yeah.
and phrase structure. How would you describe other similarities?
Yeah, so the melodic contour and the contrary motion that's happening, it's very similar. You can see you're like, she's like definitely like echoing that. And
Yeah.
it's totally, when she said allusion and allusion to the Bach, you can see exactly what she's talking about. It feels like very similar too. And even though the drone effect isn't the same, I think that it is very comparable. Bach is using that E flat, like I said. He has to keep on, writing in the, keep hitting it because it's dying. So to have it sustain through the phrase, the phrases are a little bit shorter, and then you're hitting that note again. And because she's done the G and the B, it's almost like she's saying, this is how it can be now. Like, this is the same idea, but now I've made it better.
Like how music has evolved.
Exactly. I feel very much like I can see that.
Do you really think she thinks it's better than Bach's?
I mean, in her program, I think it's better than Bach's. But
hot take.
I'm so sorry. I love new music. And I don't know if I would say it's better than Bach's. I feel like definitely she's doing what Bach would have done if he knew that if at that time, Baroque cellos, they were made with gut strings. You couldn't really do harmonics.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't the same. Now with these metal strings and the ability to have them so tight and the tuning, there's these really cool harmonics that are happening in overtone series. And at that point, you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that if Bach could, he would have
Yeah.
utilized that.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have her piece if we didn't have Bach, So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's better. I'm saying it's the next step.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that thought
Yeah.
process. But thinking about as someone who's played it, do you think it's smart to have already studied the cello Bach suites before taking on this new music?
I'm going to be 100%. I don't think that there's a way to do the whole cello thing, like being a cellist, without having studied the Bach suites. It's unavoidable. There's not a teacher who won't teach them. I mean, it's part of every curriculum for cello. I don't know a single person who is a professional cellist or a new music cellist who hasn't already done Bach. It's, foundational for cello.
Yeah.
Now I have a challenge. If anyone has never played the Bach cello suites and you're a cellist,
Please tell us. I want to meet you and shake your hand.
but do you find yourself at
Congratulations.
least referencing back to your history playing the Bach cello suites when you learn it?
So this is actually my next piece of example that I really wanted to share
cool.
with everybody. So my cool thing that I did, my analysis that I think is really interesting that I am excited about is embodied intertextuality. So not text to text, but body to body in a way where the way that I play the Bach cello suite is very similar in the way, like my choreography, the way I'm moving my arm and the way that I'm leaning into the notes and like phrasing, of course, but like more than phrasing, just the way that it feels to actually make those motions happen is very similar. And you can like feel it within both of the pieces. And the easiest way I think I can, and the best analytical way method is through bowing to really explain all this. And I'll break it down a little further for non-string players who might be listening, who don't know all this stuff. I'm not adding you. I just
Both looking at
I was about to look at Angela.
well, I wasn't gonna look at you, and then Darrian was, so then I felt like I had to too. But
Oh,
well, so
targeted.
you know what bowing is, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, bowing is
I've
going.
seen it done.
Yeah, you go up and you go down.
Yeah.
And
I've watched The Concept Master.
yeah, so you know exactly what it is. How many
So targeted.
How many notes can you play on one bow?
Like 3 or 4.
So you can do as many as you can fit in one
Yeah.
bow.
Okay,
But
that makes sense.
you can also, if you want, do one. Or you can take multiple bows to do one note. Basically, it's the direction you're moving the bow and for how many notes and how fast. The tip of the bow is the small pointy end, and then the frog.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
Where's your trivia? Woo.
The frog is the end where it's like square and you can tighten it and everything, and that's where you hold it. So up bow is when you're going away from your body and you are going from tip to frog, and down bow is when you're going towards your body and you're going frog to tip. If you have like a lot of notes in one bow, the passage is usually like quicker. And if you're just doing like one bow per note, it's going to be further apart or take longer typically. This is not law. There are a lot of times when these rules are broken, especially for extended technique.
Yeah.
And it's just typically that's how it goes. the way that the bowing happens in a piece affects like everything. It affects the timbre, the dynamics, the core, effort, rhythmic integrity, intonation, choreography, the ability, how fast you can play, the speed.
Yeah, I've heard the bow described as the voice.
The voice, yeah, and also the emotional connection, the perception from others too. Like that's where you're showing it. People listen with their eyes. So when you're like taking a really long bow, you can make it look like you're just like pouring your heart into that note. And if you do little fast ones, it can look like you're just, completely like, disconnected from it. If you're like running away from it or something. In the Bach suites, it's very subjective. The bowings are not like, they're largely, unknown or don't exist because in the Baroque era, they were not universal bowings. It was kind of like whatever the player wanted to do. And it's still kind of true today. A lot of people, or, everybody does have different abilities. Every body physically has different abilities. That's something that's really prominent when you're talking about, men versus women cellists. Like our hands are a lot of times smaller. A lot of times we hold the cello completely differently because we have anatomy that's in the way, and it makes it
got
a little
some girls
more
in the way.
Yeah, you got some girls in the way. So then, especially if they're big, like it can be difficult to like figure out how to hold the cello, and it's sad when it's like, last week we had studio class and there's this cellist who's, all the way up into her sophomore year of undergrad in college. And she still hasn't figured out how she wants to hold the cello because no one's told her, you need to put your boobs on top of it.
Guess you gotta tell her, Bella.
I did. And then she was like, wait, really? Is that that's why everyone else looks comfortable? And I was like, yes.
It's like a bra.
It's yeah. I mean, it's interesting how it's something that people don't talk about as much, where there's like actual physical differences in how you can play and how things are more difficult for some people. There's some stuff in like a lot of pieces, especially new music. People are a lot more adventurous and they'll do a lot of crazy things. And even, back in the day where it's like, all right, so you don't know how this works. You don't know how big my hand is. I can't reach that octave, but maybe a guy who has a twice as big,
kind of like in piano and stuff too.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where people will be like, oh, you're not good enough because you can't do it. And it's like, doesn't matter how good I am. I'll never be able to do that. So yes, I really appreciate that Juri gave the musicians the ability to do what's going to work for their own body. And almost the whole time it says free bowing. Try to ensure maximum resonance. So that means do what you want. And the Bach suites are, kind of similar. I approach this piece, and I assume others who have played this piece approach it the same way or similar to a Bach suite, because of the similarities that I mentioned before with the counterpoint and the phrasing and everything, and the instructions on the page also. With the piece so similar to Bach, I used the bowing ideas that I actually used for most of the Bach suite. For the beginning of the fourth prelude, I've got all separate bows. And it doesn't matter which voice is leading where, because in the counterpoint where the voices are different, sometimes you'll slur the voices together so that you can hear them, or you will connect them through slurs. But at the beginning of this, it's like what you're trying to do is create this long, sustained, like bell-like tone, and it works for both of them. So that's what I did for both of the pieces. I was like, oh, this looks like Bach. I'm going to do what I did for Bach here. And that's what works for me. And if somebody plays Bach differently, I would assume that they would do the way that they're playing Bach. So for most of the movements of this suite, I used bowings that are super similar to the dances from Bach, and faster and slower and everything. Basically, it feels similar to when the player's playing it. When I'm employing these bowings, they give me the same sort of feeling in my bodily choreography as I get from the Bach. The swooping arm going all the way down to the bottom string and then coming back up all the way so I can get those other notes that are on the upper strings, but trying to make them smooth and close together and have that like seamless connection with the music until I want it to be silent. That is the same feeling. And it is just kind of like deja vu while you're playing it. You're like, oh, this is a thing I've done before. I've felt my arm doing this. I feel this in my body, in my fingers, in my left hand as well, going down there, going up here.
Do you find yourself playing in Baroque style sometimes? Because Bach is obviously a Baroque composer.
Yeah, so no.
No.
Well, I assumed so, but I was like, no.
Well, No, because you can't. Because this is harmonics, and you have to be like really sinking down into the strings to be able to. Harmonics are kind of unreliable, so sometimes you will play them and then they just don't happen because you don't have the perfect placement of the bow. So it's not very similar to the Baroque style. It's just
maybe in the other movements.
in the other movements, I definitely the second movement, is much more Baroque feeling because of the way that you're slurring the chords together so that you can have the bow be prepared for each one. And it was interesting because when I decided I was going to compare to the fourth suite, I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. I haven't played the fourth suite since my auditions for Masters, and that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I know, and I was like, I'm a little worried about this. Will I be able to pull this off? Because I had just kind of decided to do that, to actually play it for everybody. I was going to use a recording, and then I was like, no, I need to show. Yeah. And when I decided that, I got it out and I was like, oh wow, it feels like it's the same. So it felt really comfortable to be doing it because it wasn't like I left it. It's like I was still there.
Yeah. Do you think practicing this piece has helped that piece become?
Yes, I do. I think it's like, anytime you do stuff multiple times, you're making it easier to do more stuff. So
you're making it harder by doing the harmonics.
Yeah, it's harder when you do harmonics. I know. I was like, oh, this is so much easier now. I don't have to worry.
Harmonics are hard. Do cellists do false harmonics like violins do?
Yes, and it's worse for us because we have to use our thumb.
Oh, no.
We're doing this kind of spacing.
Well, because it's farther away than on violin, but they suck too.
Yes, no, they suck for everybody. Unfortunately, they're just, chaos, although they're amazing. I love them. And when they're in pieces, I'm like, this is great. I love this. Not always love playing it, but I always love experiencing it.
When they're done right.
When they're done right. When my thumb is bloody from them, I'm not always very appreciative, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have anything else you want to play for us?
Yes. So I wanted to just kind of demonstrate what I meant by the slurring and show like how it works doing the couple notes together. And I'm going to play the saraband from the fourth suite, and then, or not all of it, but some of it, and then a little bit of the second movement, just to compare those two so you can hear that. With the slurring.
And this is a saraband from Bach.
Yes, from the Bach fourth suite. Just there's a lot of slurring and connected in the voices and the counterpoint.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
So part of what I really wanted to make sure that you guys can hear, hopefully you can hear what's happening. I'm setting up a lot of these chords very similarly with the 16ths or the 8ths coming before it.
Yeah.
We're swooping down into these chords, and I'm setting them up very similarly, and it feels physically the same.
Yeah, and you can almost, if I didn't know that C string was tuned down to a B, I could be like, oh, that's Bach.
Yeah.
Now, usually it's like, oh, it's Bach, and then you hear dissonant stuff, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah. The difference we're talking about here is just how I'm slurring these notes together, and the slur sounds like this. Compared to... We're slurring into those different chords.
So I really enjoyed listening to you play this, obviously. But I was thinking, how would you go about helping the audience understand this piece? Like, especially if they're not familiar with classical music or they're not familiar with the Bach cello suites, how would you help your audience understand it in a performance setting?
I think that it doesn't have to be connected to the Bach suites for it to be a successful performance. And I don't think that that's like necessary for somebody to enjoy listening to it. So I would honestly, if they don't know anything about the Bach suites and they haven't heard music, I'd be like, you should just listen to this piece. It's really cool. You're still going to like it. It's still got so much depth for it. Like, it's really awesome piece in lots of ways. I might do some immersive design to, like, I don't know, just because I love immersive design. And I like, yeah, because I like to have like pictures and colors and things happening with music to make it a better experience. But
how do you visualize it? Putting you on the spot as
I know.
artist,
well, like usually I spend like hours thinking about how I want to make a piece for artwork for it. I think that I visualize it very...
You could hide Bach's face somewhere in there.
Yeah, a Bach's face or something. This one's really like organic shapes, very fluid, kind of like a lot of paint. That's what I really see. There's a lot of the paint happening, but only for the first two movements. And then after that, it changes. It's definitely different when we get towards the other three. The other three are also quite a bit more difficult.
Well, when you play it, I hope you do immersive design now.
I really want to. We will see if I can figure out how to make that work.
We did it for my recital.
I know, but it's harder when it's like my recital and then I have to find somebody to push play. And
that's true.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I volunteer.
All right, if you really want to.
So I'm curious, do you have synesthesia? How do you say that? Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone's like, I have it. I know I have it. And I'm like, I can like associate colors with music, but I don't like close my eyes and go brown.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. I definitely can like visualize things with music, but I don't know if I have synesthesia. That's a very...
I feel like you know.
Yeah, I know. Because people are like, oh, I definitely have it. So I'm like, since I don't think that, I probably don't.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to visualize art without having to have synesthesia.
Yeah, just the way she talks about it, though. Makes me think, it's a deeper level than I've heard other people talk about.
Well, she's also extremely creative, let's be honest.
Thank you. I've had someone tell me that I have it, but I don't know, because it wasn't like somebody who I think should be diagnosing others.
Yeah, fair
so
enough.
I don't know. I haven't actually thought that it's important enough for me to go actually figure that out.
Yeah, fair.
That's cool.
All right.
All right, well, let's move on to trivia. But before we do that, I just want to say we are so glad that we have you here today.
Thanks, Bella.
And we, if you want to reach out to any of us or ask Bella more questions about the piece, since she's on the Hero team, we will easily be able to give her all your questions if you have any. You can find out more information and up-to-date information about Hero events and projects we're doing on our website at www.her-omusic.com or on our Instagram, where we're posting pretty much daily, which is at hero.musicians. Please reach out to us. Let us know if you have any questions, want to tell us a story, want us to talk about something specific, and we would love to hear from you. And now let's move on to our lovely, super fun trivia.
Very nice. Let's do this.
It makes me so happy. Okay, Angela's asking us today.
Bella, you're up.
All right.
Number 1. All right. Who began the New Music Collective International Contemporary Ensemble, also known as ICE?
ICE.
Was it A, Jeffrey Dibble, B, Claire Chase?
Wait, why are we laughing? What did I miss?
She said Jeffrey Dibble.
He says,
The saxophone professor at FSU.
Oh.
Who definitely did not.
no, but he helped with Cortona.
Obviously, I don't know the
he
brass
helped with
faculty.
Cortona. Sorry, it was just funny because
Now you know. Okay, A is not it. Well, B, Claire Chase, or C, Maurice Andre?
Maurice Andre.
That's your answer?
I think so. Or wait.
What was B?
I don't know.
Claire Chase
Claire Chase.
or Maurice Andre?
I know both of those names, but I'm not 100% positive. Now I'm scared. I go with B.
B?
Yeah.
Good choice.
Okay.
Maurice Andre is a trumpet player.
Yes, he is. Okay. I knew that.
Claire Chase is
Well, you got one.
Claire Chase is a flutist, and I've met her, so now I feel bad.
Oh, it's okay. We're putting you on the spot. It's always hard. All right.
This
Number
is scarier.
2. Name the double bass player who, at the time of her death in 2016, was the longest serving musician in any American orchestra, having held her position in the Atlanta Symphony for 71 years, and she died on stage during a performance. Was it?
I think I heard this story.
Yeah. Was it A, Jan Little, B, Ray Brown, or C, Julia Kent?
I think I know, but I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
I'm actually hearing this for the first time. That's kind of crazy.
Pretty sad, yeah.
That's pretty sad.
Died on stage.
Died happy, maybe. Yeah.
I know. It's because it's a symphony thing, so
It's a dramatic way to go, though. That concert ended early.
Yeah. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe that was the finale.
My gosh, that's dark.
I'm just saying, like, you never. I don't know. I wasn't
Yeah,
there. I have no
Mahler
idea.
Death Chorale or something.
I'm gonna.
I don't know what it was.
Whoa, Molly Death Chorale. I'm gonna go with Little.
Yeah, Jane Little.
That's right, too. I knew it in my head.
Yes. Ray Brown is a jazz double bass, and Julia Kent is a cello.
I knew it wasn't Julia Kent.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the first one, so I
Yeah.
was like, it must be her
Yeah.
because
What symphony was it?
The Atlanta Symphony. Yep.
that's kind of close to
I
us.
know.
We should probably know about that.
Yeah, true. All right. Question number 3. The word orchestra derives from a Greek phrase meaning A, dancing around, B, dancing place, C, dancing queen.
I believe it would be dancing around.
It's actually dancing place.
Dancing place. Wow.
Yes.
That's cute.
Yeah. That's
Well, you got 2 out of 3. That's pretty good.
that's
pretty strong.
good. Yeah. All right.
I got to get all of them right to beat you.
Do. I'm kind of helping you out on these, not going to lie. Like I helped you out with number 1. But
You did help me out with number 1. Thank you.
number 1, Darrian, who was the first jazz female instrumentalist to be recorded? She was a part of Albert Wynn's Gut Bucket 5.
I don't even know what that is.
You got it. You got it. You got it. Was it A, Dolly Jones, B, Aretha Franklin, C, Wayne Shorter?
If I know it, do I get a point?
You can, she'll have to try first. And
Okay,
Then, yeah,
okay,
you can
okay.
try.
I only know one of those names.
Okay.
It's just Aretha Franklin.
Oh no. I thought I was helping you.
I was like, I don't know those other
She
names.
just picked it, right? She picked Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, is that your answer?
No. The way you're looking at me. I'll go with A.
Dolly Jones, yes.
Oh.
That was
Yeah.
by default.
I
Yeah.
totally guessed. I was
Dolly
like, I'm
Jones.
like, I doubt it's Aretha Franklin.
Nope. Dolly Jones is trumpet player, Aretha Franklin's vocalist, and
Yeah.
Wayne Shorter is actually a man who plays a really good soprano saxophone. So,
Well, I still got it right. Look at me.
all right. Question number 2: Who was the first female jazz instrumentalist that was signed by Blue Note Records? Was it A, Barbara Ann Humphrey, B, Karen Large, or C, Billie Holiday?
And this is the first female.
Female jazz instrumentalist that was signed by Blue Note Records.
Well, Billie Holiday is a vocalist.
Yes, good job.
So I love her, and I know that already. What were the first 2 names?
Barbara Ann Humphrey and Karen Large.
Karen Large?
Bella.
What? I thought I knew that name from somewhere.
Oh, you should know that.
You should know that name.
I'm wrong, aren't I?
Is it Karen you're saying?
Oh, that's what I said.
Okay, Karen Large, Dr. Karen Large is
our-
the flute professor here at FSU. It is Barbara and Bobby Humphrey.
I just went with a name that seemed familiar.
Yes, Dr. Large. No, she is not the first. That'd be cool though. But Barbara Ann Humphrey.
I don't know if that would be cool because that would mean that they waited till now.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. All right. Question number 3. What is the name of the brass ensemble that features only female musicians, primarily as a brass quintet, sextet, and sometimes up to 10 performers?
You said you were helping with these. These are all brass questions.
Yeah,
What
I
the
know.
hell?
I mean,
I like it. I like it.
they mainly play original transcripts, new works, and some well-known classics. Hint, Mary Bowden is a member of this group. Is it A, Seraph Brass, B, Capital City Brass, or C, Chestnut Brass?
I don't know any of this brass stuff. Why do you know this?
Cordy's a trumpet player.
Oh, true. Her fiance is a brass player.
Yes,
Aw.
I also played trombone
I did not know that.
for like all of my youth.
You would be proud.
I didn't know that.
One of them you should know because I play with them.
I
so-
know.
I know it's not B because that's the one you play with.
Yes, Capital City Brass Quintet. Check us out.
So what was
Shameless
the
plug.
What
Yeah.
was A and C again?
Seraph Brass.
Seraph?
Yes, and then Chestnut Brass.
Seraph brass?
It is Seraph Brass.
Ah.
Dang it.
Chestnut Brass is also a brass quintet, but they're not all female. But they
No.
did win a Grammy with my professor, Dr. Moore. So,
Oh, look at that.
yeah.
We
yeah.
tied actually. Did you
Tied.
prepare for a tiebreaker?
No, I didn't. So,
Tiebreaker. Do something brass related, trombone related, preferably.
No.
Give me 1 second. Who is the principal trombone of the New York Philharmonic?
Oh, dang. I don't know that one, actually.
Is it A, John Drew, B, Jason Solomon, or C, Joe Alessi?
I guess I'm going to randomly guess a letter and just hope for the best. I got 33% chance.
All right.
A.
C.
It's C.
I knew it. When you said it, I was like, oh, wait, I do know
Joe
this.
Alessi.
As soon as you said Joe, I was like,
A, Dr.
Just
John
kidding.
Drew is the trombone professor here at FSU.
Oh my gosh. What does it mean picking out the FSU names?
B, Jason Solomon is the trombone professor at Troy University, my undergrad. Go Trojans. And C is the one and only Joseph Alessi.
So I honestly, FSU faculty from the winds and brass are going to be like, this string player knows nothing about
gotta
us.
learn.
They are. Although it's okay because the cellists always come out.
Yeah, they do.
I know.
Congrats, you win.
Yeah.
Yay.
Welcome to like the Hero Talk Hall of Fame winners.
Yes, yes.
Who do I share this with?
Dr. Von Glanda's won one.
Ellen's Willich.
Yeah.
She won.
So did Augusta Reed Thomas? She won the tiebreaker.
Yeah, she did.
So welcome to all those.
So I'm like
Fancy
Augusta
people.
Reed Thomas because I won the tiebreaker.
Yeah, you're like Gusty.
I'm gonna be like,
Sure.
we're like twinnies.
Besties.
Oh yeah,
All
Like,
right.
we're friends now.
All right. Well, thank you again for speaking with us. And I hope all of y'all out there listening really enjoyed learning about Juri Seo. If y'all, again, have any questions about what we've talked about today, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll be dropping links to recording of the piece and to the composer and the podcast notes. Please don't hesitate to give us 5 stars. It really helps a lot. And we hope to hear you, not to hear you, but we hope you tune in our next episode.